What up, YouTube? Team Movies here. Since today is the birthday of one of my favorite action stars, Jean-Claude Van Damme, I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Now, he's not really the best actor, to be honest yet, but the guy's a great action star. Kind of like with Steven Seagal, I always interpret that Steven Seagal isn't a good actor. Like, I'm going to say it for every time Seagal talks, it's usually cringeworthy, so he's not that good of an actor. But he's great in action. And same goes for JCVD. And his films, I find should be like most of them are more guilty pleasures, and all, but I quite get a kick out of a JCVD film. So, anyway, with that being said, here's my top 10 favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Alright, coming in at number 10, it is Street Fighter. This is more of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's not that good of a film. I will acknowledge that, but it's actually one of the rare video games I quite get a kick out of. Like this and Mortal Kombat, which both got released in the 90s, and along with Super Mario Brothers, they're not that great of films. But I really got a kick out of them. And Street Fighter is loads of fun. You know, you got Ming Na Wen in this. Rael Julia from Addams Family fame was great. Brian Mann, some really cool action. I mean, I really got a kick out of the Street Fighter movie. I mean, like I said, it's not that great of a film, but it is far better than Legend of Chachi, that's for damn sure. But, anyway. Alright. Coming in at number 9, it is Time Cop. Directed by Peter Haim, who also directed JCVD in another film I'll talk about later on. Now, Time Cop is also pretty dumb. It's not really that great of a film, but it's kind of another guilty pleasure. It's an action guilty pleasure of mine. It's where like the mankind ends up perfect time, and it's like a time travel based film where like this police officer played by JCVD is recruited by TEC Commander Matsuak, played by Bruce McGill, who like ends up finding himself under investigation of this Senator Aaron McComb, played by Ron Silver, who has been like coerced by elements within like the governor, and so you got Walker's wife named Melissa, played by Mia Sarah, who ends up being attacked, and so like he must travel across time to rescue her and like save the future and all. It's a dumb film, but the time travel elements is awesome. You know, I mean, JCVD I love Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie. He kicked loads of butt. It's a great sci-fi, great action. I mean, if you guys never really seen Time Cop yet, give it a go. It's a really fun one. Right. Coming in at number 8, it is the film JCVD. Now, this is actually the movie that made me go, okay, this Jean-Claude Van Damme, he knows how he can do more than just straight up action. Because this is more like a crime comedy film, and I guess it says more based on like his life in a way. And I gotta say, it's actually a pretty decent one. It's not really like, it's a very different JCVD film. It's not really like his notable home video stuff. He does action in this, yes, but it's more like more in comedy and drama and all. And he's actually pretty good here. And I mean, if you guys never really seen his JCVD film yet, give it a go. I mean, it literally made me wish that Jean-Claude Van Damme should do more of this type of stuff down in the future, because he's actually great in these type of films. And speaking of, you guys should also check out his Amazon show called Jean-Claude Van Johnson. That show was awesome. I mean, it sadly it lasted only one season, but I kind of got a kick out of it. Alright, coming in at number 7, it is Kickboxer. And I'm not even kidding, they're still making Kickboxer movies. And it stars JCVD as this guy named Kurt, who has to help his brother named Eric Salone, who's an American kickboxing pro. And so like they had to like help each other in the quest for glory. But when they like go to Thailand to take on this legendary Tong opponent played by Michael Kusi, who's like the opponent, officially, who beats Eric and leaves him like paralyzed. Kirk ends up having to track down Master Zion Chow, played by Dennis Chen, and like begins to learn the sport of himself and all. And you also got Ka Ting Lee as like the kind of like the crime boss here as well. I mean, the kickboxing movies, they're pretty dumb, but they're really fun to watch. And JCVD kicked loads of butt. This movie is pretty violent. I mean, it's a cool mixed martial arts based movie. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Kickboxer, give it a go. And he ended up reprising his role in the other sequence as well. There was Kickboxer Vengeance, and there's another one that I can't remember. But the Kickboxer movies are kind of fun. All right. Coming in at number 6, it is Universal Soldier, directed by Roland Emmerich, teaming up Jean-Claude Van Damme with Dolph Lundgren. I mean, what cool team up there. I mean, it stars JCVD as his Vietnam soldier named Luke Deverak, who ends up finding his superior officer named Andrew Scott, played by Dolph Lundgren, who has like turned violently deranged, and so like the two end up fighting to the death and all. And so like they also end up being placed into a secret program in which like they are also reanimated and trained to become like killing machines. And it's pretty fun. Like you also got Michael Jai White was in this, Ali Walker, Law and Order dude Jerry Orbach was in this. Directed by Roland Emmerich, who then gave us Independence Day. This is probably one of my favorite Roland Emmerich movies. Like such great action, great violence. I mean, the tensions between Van Damme and Lundgren is pretty great. I mean, and the sequels aren't that good, but the first Universal Soldier is really great. If you guys, I mean, if you guys ever seen a Universal Soldier yet, give it a go. It's a really fun film. All right, coming in at number 5, it is Double Impact. Now what's 31st and 38? Now Jean-Claude Van Damme, what's better than one Jean-Claude Van Damme? It's two Van Dammes. I mean, that's what we got. Like Jean-Claude Van Damme and his brother has to team up with his brother, and they're both all played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they had to like pretty much take down like a crime boss named Raymond Zhang, played by Philip Chan Yan Ken. And like Jean-Claude Van Damme had great chemistry with him as well. So it's a pretty fun flick, and it's also directed by is this directed by Pierre Heim? Can't remember who directed this, but the direction of this was pretty cool. The action sequences was great. It's funny when it wants to be. Has some great one-liners. I mean, if you guys never seen Double Impact, it's another JCVD movie worth giving a shot. All right, coming in at number 4, it is The Expendables 2. Now, the first Expendables, I thought was great. Sylvester Stallone teaming up with some of the best action stars. Cool. I mean, the third one, I liked the third one, but it was a bit stepped down from Expendables 2. Expendables 2, on another hand, was great. I mean, this time, like, they had some pretty good villains in the Expendables films. Like, Mel Gibson was the villain in Part 3. I think Mickey Rourke was the villain in Part 1. But out of all of them, the best villain was JCVD. Jean-Claude Van Damme was great in Expendables 2. This movie was even more violent than the first film. The action was even as good. I really got a kick out of this. And, like, also the action sequence between Stallone and Van Damme was great. I mean, whoever expected to see Van Damme in a movie with Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Statham, Jet Li, I mean, boy, they get some of the best cast members in these films. Alright, coming in at number 3, it is Sudden Death. Now, this movie is also directed by Peter Hyams, and it's like Die Hard, but in an ice skate, like in a ice skating thing, like an ice skating arena. And Sudden Death, not so long ago, it was also announced that they're going to remake Sudden Death for Netflix, which I still not sure about. But hey, I love the original Sudden Death. You got Jean-Claude Van Damme. You got Paris Booth as a vice president who ends up getting hostage by like the by the terrorists and all. Yeah, Sudden Death is such a fun one. The action sequence in the ice skating ring is pretty great. Paris Booth, like R.I.P. Paris Booth, he was great in this movie. JCVD really kicked loads of ass here. I mean, if you guys never seen Sudden Death by now, give it a go. It's another Van Damme movie worth watching. All right, coming in at number 2, it is Hard Target. Now, Hard Target stars JCVD as this sailor skilled in martial arts named Chase Balderox, who ends up being employed to this to guard when this woman named Natasha Binder, played by Yancy Butler, as she like ends up tracking down her father, and also like the Vietnam vet is also living in New Orleans. And then you also got a Vietnam vet who lives in New Orleans named Doug, played by Chuck Peffer. And they end up doing like uncovering a sinister group of wealthy men who like will hunt the guy for for sport. And they also have to pay the guy 10,000 if and also pretty much JCVD has to track the people down and save the hostage and all. Hard Target is a really fun one. It's directed by John Woo, starring you had Lance Hankerscrine. I love Lance Hankerscrine, by the way. You also had Wilford Brimley was in this. I mean, some great cast members. John Woo knows action. I mean, whether you're talking about Face Off and all, John Woo's the man. And Hard Target is probably one of his most like underappreciated films. I mean, if you guys never seen Hard Target by now, give it a go. It's another JCVD movie worth watching. All right. Now, my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie of all time goes to Bloodsport. Now, it stars this U.S. soldier named Frank Dux, played by JCVD, who ends up coming to Hong Kong to be accepted into a Kumite, which is like a highly secret violent martial arts competition. And so he also ends up it's sort of, I guess, if you want to look at it, it's like Rocky, but with mixed martial arts instead. And Bloodsport is it's a great mixed martial arts film. Like, even if you're not into MMA, you'll still get kicked out of this movie. You also had Donna Gibb was in this. Forrest Whitaker had a part in this. You had Leah Cries, who ends up, having a romance with the JCVD character. This movie is pretty violent, and I mean, it's not called Bloodsport for no reason. I mean, they sport for blood, so yeah. I mean, Bloodsport is such a great one. You guys gotta check out Bloodsport if you guys never seen that. But that's pretty much. Let me do the quick rundown. 10 Street Fighter, 9 Time Cop, 8 JCVD, 7 Kickboxer, 6 Universal Soldier, 5 Double Impact, 4 The Expendables 2, 3 Sudden Death, 2 Hard Target, 1 Bloodsport. Now, he's been in loads of other stuff over the years. Let me pull up his credit list. He's been in some not so good stuff either. Like, he was in The Quest, which was not so good. In Hell wasn't good. Cyborg sucked. He was in Lionheart, which was pretty decent. Nowhere to Run wasn't good. Once upon a time, he ended up teaming up with Dennis Rodman for Double Team. Yeah, that was actually a thing. He was in Maximum Risk. He was in The Bounty. No, not Bounty. The Bouncer, I meant to say. Let's see. Welcome to the Jungle, which was a comedy. That was pretty good. He was just in that movie, Black Water, which also had Dolph Lundgren. That wasn't so great. Enemies Closer, he was great in. I mean, JCVD's the man, so yeah. Anyway, let me leave you guys. What are some of your favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is C Movies signing off. Oh, and also, bonus question. Now I was watching an episode of Shameless, and Mickey and Ian was like both pretty much having a debate on who would win a fight between Seagal and Jace and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Bonus question: who would win in a fight between those two? Anyway, drop a comment below for that. Anyway, this here is T Movies.